What it is, y'all? Welcome to another Danmachi video, and today, as you can kind of tell by the albeit kind of messy layout that we've set out today, we're going to be talking very specifically about Haruhime. Why? Because we got a Haruhime pickup banner, and I did say very early on that new players probably want to focus on this banner at least a little bit, because maxing out your OG Haruhime is just such a worthwhile cause. Now, this has come under a little fire. I did get criticized for this stance, and I will stand by this stance, but because there is a little criticism, I do want to go in here and talk about this a bit. And really, like as you can see over there, I've made a tier list of all the Haruhimes in the game. We only have 8 of them in total. Only 6 are actually on this banner. We'll talk about which ones are and which ones to focus on. But the fact that you basically have this many steps and only like 6 units really that you could pull from, your odds of getting a unit you want are pretty darn high. So let's go in here, let's talk about this, and let's kind of clear the air, explain why I feel the way I feel, and maybe you do too, maybe you don't, but I'm going to actually go ahead and share the tier list out there. So if anybody actually wants to go and make their own, feel free, share it on the Discord, share it on Twitter, share wherever. Unfortunately, you can't put links in the YouTube channel, but however you choose to differentiate, that's fine. Links in the description, but for now, I'm going to get into my list and explain it. But before I do that, let's talk about which Haruhimes are actually available on this banner, because like I said, there's 6 of them in total. Starting with Foxy Princess Haruhime, the OG, the original, and frankly, like one of the best units in the entire game. She is so important that they took her and made her a free-to-play unit, because she broke the game when she dropped. She's so necessary for like so many events. And I don't think I've made a team without her in a long time. In fact, oftentimes if we do a big challenge, the big challenge is build X team without OG Haru, and you're like, oh, all right, now I got to think. So just a fantastic unit all around. We'll get into all the reasons why I like her in just a moment, but we also have an Ocean of Virtue Haruhime, and that is the light Haruhime. That is the light swimsuit Haruhime. That Haruhime is easily second best. And once again, we'll get into why here in the tier list in a moment, but this Haruhime is freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing, okay? Foxy Yukata Haruhime, one of the newer ones we got in the game. I'll talk more about her when we get to her in the explanation, but probably, like, good unit, don't get me wrong, but in comparison to, like, other Haruhimes on the list, and Pearly Renard Haruhime. Now, Pearly Renard Haruhime is an interesting unit. Wynn just got a huge update recently, and so I feel like she kind of just happens to be on a team that works really, really well. Once again, we'll talk about her. Now, the assist Haruhimes, you'll notice, are actually rated kind of low. I'll explain why, but remember, like, the second lowest one is still B tier, and I'll explain why I feel that way, but you will see her on a ton of teams that I build. I could see an argument to put her in A tier. She's not an S by a long shot, but I could see an A tier argument. I just put her on B because, well, I'll explain. Let's go ahead and talk about the assist Haruhimes first, because In Dreams Haruhime is the other one. So we're going to switch over here to the assists first and foremost, starting with the bottom of the list. Now, we're going to go ahead and just do this by Haruhime units. Oops. Those are the adventures. We need the assists. Where did she go? There she is. Alright. So, notice I don't even have In Dreams Haruhime. I didn't even try on the banner. If we go ahead and pull up all the information here. So, a good agility stat, decent HP. Really, like I said, at this stage of the game, I'm looking for a unit that's got like 1,000 HP. I think 1,000 is like that nice sweet spot. If they don't have 1,000, they better have some spectacular stats. And agility actually is a really awesome stat for this one. Really, really, really awesome stat. But physical and magic, both at 350. I'm going to be honest, most of the time if you use this unit, you're going to use this unit as a sack. You're definitely not going to use this on a mainline unit. And then we have to kind of get into their skill. Her skill, their skill, whatever you want to say. This is labeled as a Haruhime unit, even though Winnie is there. But it's mainline Haruhime. I don't know why they didn't do a combo unit, but they didn't. Foes plural status buff -3 turns. And ally. Singular ally. 75% HP heal prioritizes an ally with a lower percentage HP. So how this type of skill works. When Haruhime drops in the game, she'll take all foes and drop all their status buffs 3 turns. And that's an awesome skill to have. The problem is there's only one place you really can honestly use this, and that is Wargame. While there are some arguments to beyond that, most fights are going to go way too long for this to be a useful skill. Usually you want her to come in, drop this skill, and then, you know, have everybody else kind of attacking. You're going to put this on like more of a support unit. It's not really going to be doing hardcore damage because, once again, agility is great, HP leaves a little bit to be desired, and the both physical and magic stat definitely leave a lot to be desired. If you're going to do a combo stat like that, I would want it to be at least mid-upper 4s. 350 is like a stat we get like last year. So I really feel like, because it is an ally singular heal, because it is, you know, like a one-time use, like literally most assists when they drop in the game, they give a stat like strength 20%, magic 20%, like with the other Haruhime we're going to see here in a moment, increases AoE and single target damage. You know, something that actually will pertain to the long run of the game. This, unfortunately, is a unit that kind of drops in, has one use, and then is done. Like, they're one and done. Now, it could be a great skill. It's basically like the equivalent of a finishing move. But it's not a great finishing move because it's not, like, it doesn't kill anybody. It just, you know, makes them have to rebuff. So Wargame is about the only place you'd actually see this used, ever. Beyond that, like I said, most fights are only going to go way too long. I could be wrong on this, but I would love to be corrected on this, but I'm going to be honest, I just don't see her being used outside of Wargame. It just doesn't seem to be a thing. And even then, you're sacrificing a unit with the hopes that this is going to be enough to wipe out, you know, all your opponent's buffs, and then be able to take them out in the next turn. Let's say turn 3, turn 4, when this unit drops, you want to be able to take them out that turn. You definitely don't want the stats from this unit, or whatever support unit or whatever you have them tied to, out there just trying to do damage, because they're not going to be able to do it. So for that reason, I mean, I put them in like the lowest tier, which, not great, not terrible. Good uses. I just don't have a use for them on my team, and I haven't seen them used on a whole lot of top tier teams. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section, but I really feel like this is the lowest tier Haruhime. And frankly, I just think all around probably could be a little more well implemented, I think. Now that said, there is the Eyes Assist that I do use a lot in Wargame. I just feel like that Eyes Assist has a little bit more going for her. But you let me know if I'm wrong on this one, guys. I just feel like this is the lowest tier Haruhime without question. Now, the other assist Haruhime that we've got. Now, this is one that I actually have +2. I wish I had her max limit broken, because she's actually pretty respectable. Now, notice the physical and magic stats are once again 320, even lower than the other Haruhime, and the HP is lower, but this is also a slightly older unit. Whereas that other Haruhime, the Dreamy Haruhime, Haruhime Winnie technically, that's one like just got in the game. Like, we got that one not very long ago in the game. So I expect more out of a unit like that. This being a little bit older, I can forgive a lot. Agility stat is very similar. Physical and magic are a little bit lower. HP is very similar. The only reason I put this one higher on the list. Now, the main reason this is so low on the list is because you're going to use this on a SAC unit. You're never going to use her on a mainline unit. Because you're going to want better physical or magic stats on that unit. You're going to want better HP. The agility ain't so bad, but you're really going to more use that for in a support stance. Very rare you're going to use this as an attacking assist. You know, I say attacking assist, but as an assist that is on an attacker. Now, let's talk about her skills. Okay? Now, max limit break, damage received, attack all targets and single targets -15%, and allies +20 MP regen. Now, mine's +2 at anything level 60 and until max limit break, it's minus 10% and 15 MP regen. And I gotta be honest, that's still plenty. Like, yes, I could get more out of her, but it works. It works, and it works well for a lot of teams. You'll see me use this unit very often. The only downside, and the biggest downside of this unit, is if you did chase her to max limit break, yes, she's going to give you big boosts there, but her stats, go back in here, her stats just leave a little bit to be desired, honestly. Even at max limit break, a 320 physical and magic is kind of atrocious. And once again, at this stage of the game, I'd love HP to be a little bit higher on a unit. I want to get closer to that. You know, we have free-to-play units that do like 1,400 now. I would love for HP to be closer to 1,000. I know that's nitpicking, but it's my honest opinion. Agility stat, fantastic, but I don't think that's enough to save this unit. So that's why I feel like fantastic unit. One I use very frequently. So let me set that right now. A unit I use a lot because the HP, the regen is very, very, very important in a lot of events, especially. And I do sometimes say HP regen. It's actually MP regen. MP regen. And MP regen is very, very, very important, especially in longer fights. If you guys have ever seen me, like when we did Grand War, when we take on big events like that, and you've got, you know, units that are like maybe +1, +2 in longer fights, she is going to save their behinds. She's going to be very, very, very good in that respect. But I've got to be honest, I would love to see her stats get a little bit of a boost. I wish she was a little bit better, and I wish it was a unit that I could put on a mainline team instead of putting him on like... Yeah, I generally put her either on my first or second sack unit. If you're not familiar with that term, because we haven't talked about that a lot. That's when we use the revolving amulet, and we have a unit like leave turn 1, turn 2 before our mainline attackers come in. So, not a unit I put on a mainline attacker. It's definitely a unit, someone I put on an assist. And for that reason and that reason only, she's down in B tier. If she was any better than that, I would definitely put her up at... if she had a better magic and attack stat, either one, I could put her at A. If she had phenomenal attack and or magic stat and 1,000 HP, she would be S tier easily. But so maybe one day she'll get a rebalance and she'll get a little bit better. But for now, I just feel like she's a B tier unit. Let's not beat around the bush here. B tier units are still fantastic units. I know we often think, oh, B tier, oh, first loser, right? Well, actually, B tier can be very, very, very useful, as we're going to see in some of these other Haruhimes. Okay, so those are the assist Haruhimes, and I hate to say that they're the lowest end for me, but they really are. Like, it sucks to say, but it's just very true. Now, if we go over here to Adventurers, we can actually talk about the rest of these Haruhimes, okay? And I'm going to kick this off with the last Haruhime on the list, the Foxy Haruhime, okay? And I'm going to go over their stats max limit broken. If you have, lower stats are obviously going to change everything, but I'm always going to talk about them at their highest stat, because if I'm going to put them on the tier list, I definitely want to address, like, every possibility with them. Now, Foxy Haruhime, B tier. Why B tier? Well, fantastic triple S physical stat, fantastic agility stat, and almost 4,000 HP, so a good unit all around. Okay? I'm going to start off with her skill 1, strength 30% and water damage 35% for all allies. Now, the reason that she's not A tier is because this skill right here. I really, really, really wish she had a self buff rather than an all allies buff. All allies buff, I think, at this stage of the game, kind of start to, like, a unit starts petering off after a while. I stop using units with the all allies buffs because, frankly, I'm really looking for more damage in the game. Now, that isn't to say she can't do it, but she's going to require more support. She's going to require Haruhime's essay. She's going to require... I don't think we actually have anybody that does all allies water 100% yet. Unless I'm wrong? I don't think we do, though. So she doesn't have that. She really doesn't have this... This skill right here is the reason she's not A tier. The only reason she's not A tier. Hate to say that, but it's true. Now, skill 2, AoE, Super Water Physical Attack, foes, super water physical attack, with temporary strength boost, ultra on counter rate, allies 20% HP regen for 2 turns. So if this was coupled with a hit that maybe like, she was 60% on all stats, this would be A-class material, no questions asked. No questions asked. And 60% on all stats isn't really that much to ask. Because then we get down to her third skill. It's the obligatory foe singular skill. 40% per each self-water attack damage buff. So in other words, she get about 80% here. Because you're going to buff water on both the assist and the adventurer side. Problem is, with the low buffs she has, she's not going to hit with any kind of levels of insanity. So she just kind of, for me, is good, not great. Okay? So I'm trying to think what other things she has here. 8% MP regen is a decent skill. I don't think she necessarily needs that. She is an Aqua Killer, which is... we only have a handful of Aqua Killers in the game, so that's a thing. Her SA is Foes, plural, Ultra Water Physical Attack with temporary Strength Boost, Ultra Critical Rate, and allies water damage plus 50% for 3 turns. So, great skill here. I don't think it's enough to save that. I really feel like if this was a single target, or a single target, but a self boost, 60% on her physical and water stat would be way better, in my opinion. But if you, once again, choose to differentiate with me, that's fine. Definitely put it in the comments section, but that's what it's there for, in fact. But my opinion, I just don't think she's the best. Sorry, Haruhime fans. I just gotta be real at the end of the day. Now, the other Haruhime we have right there, I believe that is the new... Earth Haruhime. I don't believe this Haruhime is actually on that list because I believe she's live right now. And let's take a look at what she does, because honestly I don't remember. I know she'd be really good for the current events, but I'm going to be honest, if you have a fire team, that event is already kind of amazing and grotesque. Though that said, she kind of has a weird strength and magic stat thing going on. We'll get into that in a moment. But HP is at full maximum, breaking everything out. 36-16, not fantastic. I would hope for it to be a little... Like, for me to be an A tier in the HP stat, at least, it's got to be like 3750 and higher. I'm really looking for things that are closer to the 4000s, just personally. MP's okay. Physical and magic attack are all right, but why do we have overlapping stats like that? Well, hard to call. But here we go. Skill 1, allies, dex, earth attack damage, and magic resist 40%. Once again, like I said, if she had a solitary self buff of 60%, that'd be way better. See, she gets a self agility 60% for 2 turns and 2 actions low earth physical attack. So if she had the self buff of 60% on the rest of them, she'd be really, really, really good. But I feel like she just kind of falls apart a little bit because she doesn't have that stat. Now, and like I said, if you're running a team that needs an earth buff or a magic resistance buff, great. But I don't know, guys. I just don't know. Now, notice, worth noting here, she gets an earth attack damage buff and a magic resistance buff. She does not get a physical stat buff, so she's going to require somebody else to give her the physical buff. Just throwing that little knowledge nugget out there. Now, skill 2, foes plural, fast mid-earth physical attack with ultra and counter rate, removes physical resistance buffs except assist skills, and to all targets plus 30%. So that right there is a really good sack skill. This would be like the second unit I bring in turn 2, and then let her go. Because I believe that's one of the highest AoE attack, AoE buff skills actually out there. Technically it's a debuff skill. But that's fantastic. That actually brings her back up a little bit, in my opinion at least. Even though she doesn't have the physical buff, she's going to be a great sack unit, a fantastic sack unit. And because of that, I really don't feel like you need to have a ton of dupes of her. She's going to be good kind of like with nothing at all, level 60. So she's not one I really would recommend chasing to like max limit break or anything like that. She's not going to be phenomenal or outstanding in that way whatsoever. Now, Foe, super earth physical attack with ultra critical rate, 40% per each self dex buff skill. So you'd have to buff dex on the assist side to get the 80% out of that. And I don't know how often we do that. We really don't do that very often. So an easy B tier unit. She's got a few other things here, but nothing like too crazy. 8% HP and MP regens, very common for Haruhimes. When countering instead of attacking an enemy, extends buffs for allies for 1 turn. That right there kind of saves her from falling any lower, because that skill, and I often forget about this, but when she counters, any buffs on your team instantly get extended, which is a really, really phenomenal skill to have. That said, I just don't think it's enough for me to keep her on there. She is a material killer, but for the current fight, you'd have to buff her physical too much, and I just don't know if she's worthwhile in that regard. Now, and another thing, remember her physical and her magic stat are both like in the 1,000-ish, so she'd be good, not great. All my attempts to use her have kind of floundered, so I just found the fire team still kind of cleans house. And we'll talk more about that later tonight on the stream. Now, foes, plural, Ultra Earth physical attack with Ultra Unguard rate, remove strength and magic buffs, allies remove strength and magic debuffs. Now, remove strength and magic buffs is an okay skill to have here. I'd prefer to have that for like Record Buster on a single target unit that's just not an SA, but actually in their skill set. That said, removing the strength and magic debuffs is a phenomenal skill. Phenomenal. If you're doing like 7th zone, she's going to be great for passing 7th zone a little bit faster. But other than that, very limited uses for this Haruhime. Just saying. That's why she's B tier. I've really thought about putting her even lower, but I think a couple of those skills just kind of save her, if I am honest. If I am honest. Now, we already talked about the assist Haruhime, so we're going to move up to A tier. And I'm going to start with the Wind Haruhime, who I actually like a lot and I use fairly frequently. Now, you'll kind of see why here in a moment. Pretty obvious, but now HP skill's a little on the low side, but if I'm honest, I give a little leeway there because magic units tend to squish a little bit easier. That said, her magic stat is a triple S. It's fantastic. Her agility is not really all that spectacular, but it's okay. And a lot of those are the reason why she's an A tier, not an S tier. Now, skill 1. Magic and wind attack damage, 60%. Remember, that's what I said I'd like to see. And allies, counter rate and critical rate, plus 30%. So fantastic skills right there. She was a huge asset to the wind team and just, frankly, an amazing wind unit. I like her a lot. I use her very frequently. Skill 2. Now, funny enough, notice the MP cost on skill 2 is extremely high. Foe, singular. It's a single target attack. This is a Record Buster skill. High wind magic attack with high critical rate. Damage received attack single target plus 20%. Magic and wind resist down 35%. Great skills. Great skill that. Now, you say, but that MP cost. Oof. Here she comes with skill 3. Foe singular. Mid-wind magic attack increases the more self MP decreased and self 100% MP heal. Spam this until you can't. Hit that for 10 MP. Spam this till you can't. Hit that for MP. She cleans house. She's very, 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 very good. And that is why she's an A tier. She unfortunately lacks a little something that I would hope she would have. I basically want her to be the equivalent of the Light Haru, but for wind. That's really what I wanted. Maybe that's my expectation, but that's the only reason she's A tier, not S tier. Now, if we go down to here, she's got some good things up here. Earth resistance when countering a regular hit a foe with the wind element. That's not abnormal. Counter damage 50%. Damage 50% upon critical and penetration, so she hits a little bit harder with those. She's an ogre killer. She does have the ogre killer skill. Foe singular for the SA. Alter wind magic attack. 40% per each self magic and wind damage buff. So she's both buffs. She can go up to, what, 160%, I believe. And foe singular removes strength and magic buffs. So that is a fantastic skill. The only thing I really wish is that the remove strength and magic buffs, was actually another skill. Basically, if that was on like skill 3 where she does the MP regen, and then she had a bigger hit here, like a big buff or a big debuff, I would love to see a win 100% out of her or something like that. Basically, when we get to the light Haru, you'll understand why I say this. She is like second only to the light Haruhime. Second only to her. And that's saying something. Now, I know actually technically third only to, because we'll get to that. She's just behind her. Now, almost, and I would say almost on equal footing, is the Silver Fox Haruhime. This is the time limited one that reran back in December. This unit is extremely good. Very good. If you pulled her, great. I'm an idiot. I have enough gnome tickets to max her out. I have not done that. I didn't even pull for her when she was here, because unfortunately, I've stopped using her because I have other units I'd rather use. But if you're in like 7th zone or anything, if you remember the original 7th zone videos when they dropped, we always use her and we use the OG, and they make a wonderful team. In fact, I really thought long and hard about putting her in the S tier just because of how good she is. But I really felt like the other Harus just are a little tiny bit better. So let's talk about what she does. First of all, you notice the HP is pretty low. She does squish. She swishes often. MP is tolerable. It's at a good rate. She once again has a double S magic attack. But she's got a high physical skill for no reason whatsoever. So, like, I would love for her to spec a little more into magic. Get rid of that physical. That's me. We're going to talk about skill 1 here. Fast. It's a fast skill. Mid-water magic attack with ultra and counter rate. Allies physical resist and magic resist plus 35%. That's that defensive buff. Like, basically, when we do Haruhime's 40% debuff, this is the defensive buff that you could put on all your units to basically counteract more damage incoming. This is a phenomenal skill. Basically, there's 3 types of defensive maneuvers you can do. The OG Haru, where she does strength and magic down 40%, fantastic skill. You can increase your physical and magic resistance, which she does, fantastic skill. The other skill you can do, which is what the Haruhime Assist does, is you can decrease, actually I believe she actually increases outgoing, but you can decrease AoE and single target damage incoming. So of the 3 possible defensive maneuvers, we've got 2 represented in 2 Haruhimes. Actually, the first 2 Haruhimes we've received. So, really awesome skill there. Once again, you can see why I was really tempted to put her in S. Snow Silver. Allies. 15%. All allies. 15% MP heal. Strength, magic, and water attack damage 20%. Come on. I wish when she got here, they would have been like, here's 40%, so you're at least on par with the other units. Not that, I'm very critical of that. I wish she got a little bit more damage, but she's really not a damage producer. She doesn't even have an attack skill whatsoever. I guess technically that's an attack skill, but she's all support, 100% support, so 95% support. So a better buff there would have been so nice, but that was kind of part of the course when she dropped in the game. She just never got the rebalance she deserved. And skill 3, the main reason you would use her, 30% 30% HP heal, allies, status debuffs, foe status buffs minus 2 turns. If you remember, the OG Haruhime's skill 3 is status buffs and allies debuffs. Allies, buffs, and opponents debuffs plus 2 turns. She does status debuffs on our allies and foes status buff minus 2 turns. Literally the opposite. So if you run the 2 of them together, the other Haruhime is buffing everything that you're putting out there, and she's debuffing everything that your opponent is putting out. Really, really, really phenomenal unit. The two main reasons that she's sitting here instead of sitting in S tier. One, she's time limited, and I really feel like she probably deserves to be on this banner, though I understand why they didn't do it. It really sucks she's not, but she was just around and she didn't get the rebalance she deserved. Frankly, my opinion. Plus her stats could be a lot better, especially considering she was just around and she should have gotten a much better rebalance. But she's dead center between S and A. It's just I had to flip a coin and put her somewhere, so she literally got A just because of those stats. Now, because of the age of her, she doesn't have a huge amount of things special about her. She does do one thing that's actually really, really, really awesome. Just like the OG Haru, when countering instead of attacking regularly, it low heals an ally, prioritizes the ally with lowest HP percentage. Once again, those two Haruhimes on the team, you just never die. For the longest time, that was the stall meta in Wargame, is just those two Haruhimes. So she's got some good skills here. Nothing crazy, just good skills. SA is allies ultra HP heal, removes allies status debuffs, and foes status buffs. So basically takes turn 3 and then just, it's all gone. Just gone. But I'm going to be honest, I've never used that. I always use skill 3. So another thing that just kind of ticks just a little tiny bit lower than that S tier status. That said, if you have her, she's a great unit to max limit break. I have not done it because I'm an idiot. I always hold on to my my star bonds and I never use them. I should have long since maxed her out. I would have been doing way better in war games back when this was out and all that stuff. I guess I'm just stupid. But a fantastic unit, borderline S tier. Now, we are into the final 2 units. And I will say there is no contest that these are 1 and 2. Number 2, Light Haruhime. If you've seen me build a light team, you've seen me use this unit. We often call her Swimsuit Haruhime. This Haruhime is just unbelievable. So much so, I was using her last night in my Record Buster team, and I actually might show that off here in a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. Hopefully I have time to record that. HP leaves a little bit to be desired once again. MP is actually really good, and she specs enough into Magic to give herself a triple S stat. Fantastic. The only downside... Well, no, I take it back. These are the stats without my CP. So, yeah, natively, when she's maxed out, she gets a triple S Magic stat. If you have this unit, definitely max her out. Definitely work on your light team. You will thank me. Your light team will thank you. She is phenomenal, and she actually hits really, really, really well. Now, self, increase magic, dex, and light attack damage plus 60%. Allies, magic, dex, and light attack damage plus 30%. She takes the best of self buff and ally buff, and just, here we go. Fantastic unit. Just overnight took the light team from being like, this thing, to, hold up, wait a minute, like, this unit is phenomenal. And I believe she's actually available in that banner. So, we'll go double check here in a moment. Because I think it's the Earth one and the other one that's not available. The Earth one and the time limited one are the 2 that are not available. So, she's available in that banner. She is great. Love her so much. And you hear me talk about how great this unit is, and you're like, oh my god, how good is the final Haruhime? If you don't know, you're about to find out. Now, she is a Record Buster unit, okay? Foe singulars. Remove strength and magic and agility buffs, except assist skills, of course. And damage received attack, single target plus 20%. So she removes all strength, magic, and agility buffs on your opponent, and increases single target damage. Then now you kind of understand why I use her for Record Buster so often, even when even when light isn't necessarily a thing. If you know some of the light units we've had in this game, you're starting to understand why she's so crazy OP. Now you get to her third skill. Foe, singular, super light magic attack. Damage 40% per each self magic buff skill. Now remember, you are going to be getting that 40% for both her buff and her assist buff. So if you have a unit on your team that buffs light attack damage, this becomes 80%. That's how that works. Allies, 20% HP regen. This is a great skill. It hits hard. It's wonderful. Just a great record buster skill. Great skill for 7th zone. You'll use this in like any Familia events. You'll use this everywhere. It's just a fantastic skill. I cannot tell you how much I love this skill. It's just a great skill. Okay. So she's got her typical combo attacks. 8% HP and MP regen, because remember, this is a very hard-hitting skill. She doesn't really have anything that regens MP, but honestly, you're only going to do this so often, and I don't think, since I've had her max limit broken, I don't think I've run out of MP in a long time. Maybe a few times, but not terribly. So that's a handy-dandy thing. Counter damage 50%, dark resistance 35%, magic agility dex 25% on top of whatever she's got, and she's a phantasma killer. So if you're up against a ghost unit, whether or not light is favorable, she'll be great. Here's the best part of Old Girl. And I know you're saying, like, how could this be the best part of her? She's already good. Ultra light magic attack. Damage 80% per each self magic buff. Remember I said before, that accounts for assist buffs too. So that's going to be basically, if you buffed her right, 160% buff. Allies. 40% HP regen. And light attack damage 80% for 3 turns. So if you have a bunch of allies that get a 60% buff, bam. You have some allies that don't have any buff. Bam. Use her with the OG Haru, and you've got 100% strength, 100% magic, and 80% light. Bam. You sold yet? Are you sold yet? She's just stupid good. She's insanely good. So good. So I can't get enough of this unit. She's just that damn good. Just saying. So, what can I say? Just a phenomenal skill. And that takes us to the final unit on our list. The original, the classic, OG Haruhime, who really needs no introduction. It ain't about any of this stuff. This stuff doesn't matter with her. She's 100% support. She's completely support. You do not need to use her for damage. I mean, it's eked us over in occasions, but you're not using her for damage. You're 100% using her for support. She is the sole support unit you need on your team. We'll get to her essay. We've already talked about it numerous times. But if you're not sold yet, skill 1, like I said before, fast, mid-fire magic attack. So like I said, you could do some damage with that, but it's not going to be insane. Strength and magic minus 40% for all foes. So bam, everybody debuffed. Everybody. We recently have gotten some 45%, but I believe most of those are single target. I think one might be AoE, but doesn't matter. No, I think both are actually single target, if I recollect now. But doesn't matter. When that came out, that was groundbreaking. Like, I think 30% was the best we'd gotten before that. So that was just instant, like, 10% more. What? That's like literally 30% more debuff than we've ever had. So, crazy good debuff. Skill 2, 15% HP regen. All allies, counter and penetration rate plus 30%. So if you don't have a unit that already does that, bam, she'll do it. And she does it every single time she basically re-ups her MP. Which just takes us to skill 3. We've already talked about skill 3. Allies, 30% HP heal. And allies, status buff, foe status debuff, plus 2 turns. Or, I'm sorry, minus 2. Yeah. Status buff and status debuff plus 2 turns. So basically, all the buffs you're putting on your allies and all the debuffs you're putting on your opponents, bam, plus 2 turns. Go. You can't beat that. And remember, this dropped a year and a half ago in the game. As soon as she dropped, overnight the game changed. Like, Record Buster scores tripled. Wargame, bam, stall teams were just the thing for the longest. And then we got the Winter Haruhime. The stall teams were, again, just the thing. Just like King One Wall was, you think it's bad now. You have no idea if you weren't playing back then. This unit broke the game and to this day has 0 equals in this game. Period. End of discussion. They may have replicated this, and they may have replicated this. They may have even slightly improved upon that. But the fact that she does all 3 of these is ridiculous. And remember, she does an HP regen here, and because this is a high MP cost, she restores her MP. So basically, you do this like 3 or 4 times, go up here, restore MP, do this 3 or 4 times, go up here, restore MP. She keeps everybody alive. But that isn't the best part. Not only is she doing all these heals, when countering, instead of attacking, just like before, it says low heals an ally. That is not a low heal. That's like a high heal. Her heal is insane. Prioritize the ally. So basically, whoever on the team has the lowest HP, she's like, bam, you are back. Like, you know, Gandalf staff, bam, you're back to health. Bam, you're back to bam, white mage. She is ridiculous. And remember, while she does do that only on counter, ooh, one more skill, bam, she increases her counter rate 30%. Old girl's ridiculous. I don't think she's gotten a single rebalance since she dropped in the game, and she doesn't need it. Even though her health may leave a little bit to be desired, her attack may leave a little bit to be desired, her MP may leave a little bit to be desired. She's just insane. Insane. Guard rate 30%. She has wind resistance. We kind of expect that out of a fire unit. Magic agility index 25%. She does get NP regen. And notice it's 4% and it's always like 8% for everybody else. It doesn't matter. She doesn't need it because she has the MP regen skill and you're going to use it so often anyway. She is ridiculous. And I haven't even gotten to the best part. Here we go. Her SA, Ultra HP heal. Literally everybody on the team is instant 100% HP heal. Said with 40% HP regen. So not only do they then heal for the next, was it 4 turns? It's 3 turns. 3 turns. They get 40% HP regen. The only downside is, unfortunately, that is not replicated by, it's because it's not considered a buff. HP regen works differently. So it's not replicated by her skill 3. It don't matter. She SAs. Everybody healed. For the next 3 turns, everybody's going to get 40% of their health back at the end of every turn, on top of me healing, on top of me doing this, on top of me doing that. Then, oh, by the way, everybody on my team has strength and magic 100%. So, like, the best skills right now are, like, 80%, even, like, maybe 90 with a good SA. She's just like, everybody have 100% strength and 100% magic. Go. And it kind of makes sense if you know what her character does in the series, but damn, insane. This is why I say when she dropped, she broke the game. And to this date, literally is so mandatory that recently they've added her into the game as a free-to-play attainable character. If you are new to the game, you beat level 40, you're going to acquire a copy of this unit for completely free. Now, why do I say, and let's go back to the, let's go back out here because I've kind of gone off on a tangent here. So why do I say you need to hit this? Well, maxing that Haruhime helps her survive. You could throw her in there with some other supports. She could probably do a thing. But the higher level that Haruhime, the better you're going to do in any event ever. So if you plan to do like Record Buster level 6, if you plan to do like any high level event, if you plan to do like when the Grand Wars come back, any of that stuff, you need her max limit broken. Now, the nice part is all the Haruhimes on this list can actually be upgraded with a Prism Bond. And the Prism Bond is the thing that you can get for exchanging your unneeded 4 stars, or, you know, there's lots of ways to get Prism Bonds. So you could upgrade her that way. But with this banner around, I really feel like above all the other banners we have, new players, if you do not have Haruhime max limit broken, I would focus on this banner before any other banner out there. Now, if you have her max limit broken, you can go for the light Haru, you can go for one of the other Harus on the list. Unfortunately, the winter Haru you will not be able to acquire through this, and the earth Haru, I believe, is still live over here. Come on. There she is. Right there. But she's just kind of okay in comparison to other Haruhimes. If you want to max this unit out, she is available on every ticket. She's in there, but she is such a low chance of dropping. The fact she's available here, take advantage, guys. Take distinct advantage. If I needed more bonds of her or light Haruhime, I would have hit this long ago. Long ago. But sadly, I maxed them when they were here. So that's my video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. I know it's a long one. It's a long one. And I got a little preachy, but I think it's an important one. And this is why I feel like this is like easily one of the best banners we've got ever. If not ever. Like, comment, share. Catch you all on the next one.